So we're going to do another simplifying a complex fraction, and what I suggest, as in my other videos I've done, is that you first clear the fraction. And the way you do that is you find the least common denominator and you multiply that on the top and the bottom. Now in this case, the least common denominator is a times a plus 1. That's the least common denominator, right? So I'm going to multiply that on the top and on the bottom. Don't forget to distribute that in. Let's do this step by step. Here we go. Step 1. That multiplies there, and what cancels out? The a plus 1 and one of the a plus 1s, right? And so what I'll have is just a times a, which is a squared. Now let's multiply that thing into here, and what will cancel out? Now the a will cancel out, right? So I'm going to write plus 1 times a plus 1 because the a's canceled out. That's what I'm left with on the top, which is pretty nice. That's really simple looking. Now I keep going. On the bottom, I'm going to multiply this whole thing into that one, and what cancels out? The a's will cancel out, right? I don't like keeping the slashes in there because I have to make sure that I multiply it out by everything. So those a's will cancel out, and I'll get 1 times a plus 1. And when I multiply it here, the a plus 1s cancel out, and I just get a times 1. So that's plus 1 times a, which is just a. Okay? So now I'm going to simplify that whole mess. That on the top I have a squared plus a plus 1. And on the bottom I have a plus 1 plus a. I'm checking back to make sure I did that correctly because something doesn't seem right to me. On the bottom it seems like there should be an a squared, but maybe there's not. No, there's not an a squared because there was just a 1 here and a 1 there. Right, so this simplifies into a squared plus a plus 1 all over, what's a plus a? 2a plus 1. Now the question is, does this thing on the top, I can tell that the bottom thing doesn't simplify or doesn't factor, but does that factor? And it may not be clear to you whether it does or not, but it doesn't. There's no way you can make that, you can't turn that into a plus 1 times a plus 1 because that would give you a squared plus 2a plus 1. Yeah, so that doesn't factor, so you know that you're done.